Hello, Stampin' friends, and welcome. This is Dee Osburn, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today we are going to make this super cute Viking card using the Brave Vikings stamp set, and we're also going to use the Gentle Waves stamp set. So if you like this video as you go along, please like, share, and subscribe. That would super help me out. Give me a thumbs up if you like it, and leave a comment and tell me how you did like it and what maybe you would do different or what you would like to see in the future. That would be fabulous. I will comment back to everyone who comments to me. So let's get started. This card was super fun to make and super easy to make. So everything that you need to make this card will be listed in the description below, as well as the measurements for how to do it. All right, so the first thing that you need, obviously, is the stamp sets. So it's the Brave Vikings stamp set in the mini catalog. We're going to use the male Viking, but you could use the female Viking for this card just as easily. We're going to use You're Strong and Brave, You've Got This. But I think it would make a wonderful happy birthday card as well. It says, Happy birthday, you've conquered another year. How cute is that? And you could also use I've Taken a Viking to You. This stamp set could be, this card could use any one of these stamps in this stamp set. And we're also going to use the Viking ship. Okay? And we'll use the Gentle Waves. And we're going to stamp the Gentle Waves like this. This is how it goes. All right, so let me show you how we did it. So you're going to need a piece of early espresso, cut at 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then you'll just get your bone folder, and you'll make a nice crisp fold along there so that you have a great card base to work with. Okay, so we'll put that to the side. Put this over here so we can kind of see it as we go along. Then you're going to need 2 pieces of basic white cut at 5 1/4 by 4. And one of these is going to get glued to the inside. So let's do that first. This is where we write our message. So let's go ahead and do that so we don't forget. Sometimes I do this after, sometimes I do it before. So if you do it before, then it's ready to go when you get ready to send the card and write your message, and you don't have to go, oh man, I still have to put an inside in here. So if you just do it and get it done, then you don't have to worry about it, and the card is finished. All right, so there's that. Then you're going to take the other piece of basic white that's cut at 5 1/4 by 4, 5 1/4 by 4, and we're going to stamp on it. And we are going to use Balmy Blue ink, the Balmy Blue ink pad. And I'm going to move some of this out of the way because it's a big stamp. It goes on a giant block like this, okay? And we're going to ink it up. We're going to take our Balmy Blue, and we're just going to ink up this stamp. So, and just ink it up nice and even, okay, so that it looks really nice along here. There we go. You can kind of see how you've stamped it as you put the ink on there. You can see. Now, this is obviously much bigger than my 5 1/4 by 4 paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that to the side. I'm going to bring in the Stampin' Pierce mat so I can get a nice, crisp, good stamp on this. And I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper to protect my Stampin' Pierce mat. And I'm going to put my paper, turn that over, put my paper in the center right there. And then I'm going to take my stamp, and since I have this along this edge right here, this line, I can use that kind of as a guide And I'm just going to stamp. And it doesn't matter if you stamp it upside down or right side up, because when you're done, you can just turn it over. Okay, so we're going to stamp that down real good. The Stampin' Pierce mat just gives you a little bit of give so that you make sure that you get, see, that's what happened last time. So for some reason, it doesn't seem to want to give right there, but that's okay. That's what happened to me last time. So I'm going to show you how I fixed it. I took a sponge with some balmy blue ink on it. I got out my ink pad again, and I inked up my sponge, and I just sponged on top of that. Okay, I just sponged on top of it because you're really probably going to cover that when pretty much when we add the rest of the stuff to the card. So those two spots really aren't going to matter. It does bug me a little bit that it keeps doing that, but there's a fix, right? So there's the fix. All right, so I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to put this to the side, put this in the center. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to take a scrap of, we can actually move that to the side, a scrap of white and our ship stamp set. And we're going to take some smoky slate ink, so our smoky slate ink pad, and let's pull this over here. Okay, and we're going to ink it up real good. And we're just going to we're going to need both, this whole piece, so we're going to stamp it kind of down here on the bottom. Okay, and we get a nice, beautiful image. Okay, then while I have my smoky slate out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the Viking, because they're both done in smoky slate. Okay, and I'm just going to stamp him on the other side of my little white piece of paper. So now I have both of those stamped. I can put my smoky slate away. Okay. And I discovered that with my this last card, doing this last card, that it probably would be easier to color it before you cut it out, because you have to fussy cut this out. So let's do that. So I used the dark Mango Melody Stampin' Blend, and I colored the second stripe in, and the second to last stripe on the sail. Super easy, right? So then I used, oh, and I also, with the same, might as well do it while I have it, right? With the same Stampin' Blend, I colored the first, I don't know, stripe, is that what you want to call it? First band on the ship. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and I also used the same color to color the stripes or bands or whatever these are on his shield. Okay, so might as well do that while I have that color out, right? Then I used dark pumpkin pie, and I colored the 3 stripes on the sail, and I colored the 3 rounds, but not the little dot inside. So let's do that. So the next thing that I did was, let's see, I have to choose which color. I don't remember exactly which colors I had, but I have a whole bunch of colors out here, and I'm trying to remember, this is how I did this, which color I did that. And I believe it was this one. Let's look. Yeah, so I colored this part of the ship in the Tones blend number 600. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay. I also colored the inside of his shield with this color. So let's do that as well. Okay. All right. Now, I colored, let's see, I did this a little bit differently if you notice. I actually, on this one, I colored it the yellow instead of, well, I guess that's the same color, yeah. So, okay, I think that's a lighter color, although it does, when it dries, it does get lighter, so we shall see. Okay, then I took the dark, let's see, was it this one? I believe it was actually this one. This darker tone Stampin' Blend, this is a 300, yes. And I colored the wood on the mast, okay? And then I colored the rest of the boat, but not the oars. Okay. I also colored his coat with this color. So let's go ahead and do that as well. Okay. And I did the rim and the center of his shield. And his shoes. Okay. Now, for the oars, I took the same color that I did the top part of the ship, and which was the 600 tone, but then I used my actually, I think I'm going to do this one different. What I did with this one was I used the 600 tone, and then I lightened it with the color lifter. But what I think I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to use a lighter. Let's see what color this looks like. Yeah, I think I'm going to use this color. This is the 800 tone blend. And I really want these oars to be light. And this, I think this works out perfectly. So we're using this one this time. Okay. And this is the color that I used for, was it the color I used for the skin? No, it's not. Okay. But it is the color that I used for his pants. Okay, now I used, I'm going to do something a little different this time, but this one's done. I like the way it turned out. So I'm going to do something a little differently this time. For his hair, I'm going to use, where is it? The dark Cajun Craze. And I hope I like it. We're going to see. So let's do his hair, and it kind of makes him kind of a redhead, you know. And some Vikings were kind of redheads, so we're gonna make him kind of a redhead, kind of a reddish brown head. I don't know. So here we go. You know, you could make him a blonde, a brunette. You could color his hair whatever color you want. I'm doing his mustache first. And then I'm going to do the top part of his beard over his mouth and around his mouth, because that's a kind of a delicate area. You know, I don't want to accidentally, you know, color his mouth in. And then his beard comes up right there. You know, it's like sideburns, and down right here. And then, of course, all of this is his beard. And he's got like these little braidy things down here at the bottom. So those are kind of cool. I like those. I think I like him as a redhead. I like him as a redhead. This was dark Cajun Craze. Okay, and then for his skin, I used the 700. So let's go ahead and do his skin. Or did I use a lighter one? Nope, this is the one. It does get lighter as it dries, so this one will be fine. If you want his skin tone to be different, you can do a different color. Get his mouth right there. Okay. Now we just have a couple of more things to color. All right. So for his helmet, I used some dark gray granite. I used some light smoky slate, and I used a light basic black. Okay, so the light smoky slate, I did the horns on his helmet. And the blade of his sword or knife. Okay. Then I used the dark gray granite for this part of the knife, and it looks almost the same, so you have to go over it a couple of times. The dark gray granite is not a whole lot different, so you go over it a couple of times to make it a little bit darker. And I did the inner part of the helmet right here, but not the little dots. Okay, and the band across his head. And like I said, you have to do it a couple of times because it's to make it a little darker. Oh. If you go into those little dots, it's going to be okay because you're going to make those black. All right. Let's see. I also, inside here, this should also be light smoky slate. And then the little pieces on his helmet, those were light basic black. So right along here, and right along here. And then the dots on his helmet. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but let me get a little closer for you so you can see. Let me focus that in. Okay. All right, so that's what I did there. Get this focused in again for you. Okay. Now, also, I have to do the hilt of his knife, and that's in black. All right. And then the last thing is his shirt. And with his shirt, I used cinnamon cider, a dark cinnamon cider. Okay, dark cinnamon cider. Okay, and there he's done. Now you have to do some fussy cutting. Okay, and it's not hard. I did think that normally I feel like if you leave a little bit of white, that's a good thing. But with this one, I felt like if we cut really close to the line, that was better. Okay, and on the bottom, I'm just going to kind of cut it like this because I'm going to stick it down inside the card. Okay? So, I'm going to go like this, and then I'm going to cut really close to the ship, as close as I can without cutting into the ship. And then we'll use... we'll put some ink along the edge so that you don't see any of the, white or rough edges on that. Okay, I'm gonna cut him off so I have a smaller piece to work with. Now, when I got inside here, I didn't want to cut all up inside, so I got to about right here, even with the sail, and I just went up. And we will color the inside of that white, we'll color it balmy blue to match the sea. See how I did that? And then it doesn't really stand out that much. So let's finish cutting this out. Okay. All right, so we'll cut him out. Now let's cut out our Viking. Okay, and there he is. What a cutie pie. All right, so now we'll move all our cuttings out of the way. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do. Now comes the fun. So I have this dauber, right? Well, before I start with the dauber, I want to do the inside with the light balmy blue here, okay? Because the dauber is going to do the edges, and I want to have the blue on here before I do that. So let's go ahead and fill in that part. Okay, there. Now, and we're not going to fill in the bottom. We're not going to fill in the bottom with blue because I'm going to show you what we're going to do. I'm going to do a special thing with that. So we're going to take this dauber. It's got early espresso on it, or crumb cake. It has crumb cake on it. And we're just going to brush the edges a little tiny bit, just so that the little white pieces along the edge don't show. And you don't have to put a lot. Move his head out of the way. You don't have to put a lot, and it doesn't take but just a touch to hide those little white edges. Okay. And we don't have to do the bottom part because it's not going to show, and I'll show you why it's not going to show here in just a second. Okay, let's go ahead and do our our little Viking guy. I want to get a little bit more on my dauber. Okay, so I brushed the edges of him, and we're all done with him, and we're all done with the ship. So now we're going to get an X-Acto knife. Get my X-Acto knife. And I have this X-Acto knife. All right. And what I did was I put this ship where I wanted it. And then I just, before I did that, I put like a pad of paper, something with a little bit of give, but something that's, so I'm not going to cut into my table. Yeah, pretty important, right? So we'll put that on there, and then we're going to cut from the edge of the ship to the other edge of the ship so that we can put it down in there. And you won't even, you won't even see it when you're done. So we're just going to cut long enough, right? And you can kind of make it wavy if you want. And you have to cut hard, deep enough that it cuts through the paper. All right, so I'm just going back through and deepening that cut. There we go. And then on the other side, you can see where it is, and you can finish cutting it all the way through. There we go. Okay, so now that we have this, see, it's open like that. This piece is just going to fit down in there just like that. Isn't that wonderful? Don't you love it? Now remember to make it a little bit wavy like I did on this one. I didn't make it quite so wavy on this one. I liked it a little bit more wavy than that, but that's okay. All right, you don't have to glue it in yet. It'll be fine. When we turn it over to glue it down, it'll glue at that point. Then you take a piece of crumb cake, and what I did was I just started at the corner and I tore it towards me at an angle. This is going to be my embankment, right? There we go. And when I glue it down, I'm going to glue it from the point to here, and I'm going to cut off what I don't need. All right, so before I do that, I'm going to take not a sponge dauber, but a big sponge. It makes a different effect. Okay, so a big sponge like this, and I put mine on, what do you call them? what do you call that thing? A binder clip. I put mine on binder clips. And I'm just going to ink it up. And then I'm just going to tap it. And that gives it a sandy look. And I'm going to get some more ink. It gives it a sand. See, it looks like sand. You know how sand is. Unless you live in Florida, you don't have white sand. If you live in Florida, I used to live in the South, and I used to go to Florida all the time. And then when I moved to California, I went, oh my gosh, why is the sand dirty? Because I didn't know that sand wasn't white. But it's not. So when we make that like that, then we're going to glue it down. So we'll turn it over. And don't put glue all the way to the edge, because remember, we're going to cut a good portion of that off. So kind of leave yourself enough room. And you're going to put that corner there and then lay it down. Okay? Match it with that corner. And then you just turn it over and you're going to cut this part off. Whatever's sticking off the edge, you just trim it off. Okay? Super. Then we're going to bring in our card base. Bring our card base back. We're going to turn this over and we're going to glue it down. And this is where this gets glued. So we'll put the glue on there and we'll put a little bit of glue on the piece that's sticking inside. Okay? And that's where it'll get glued down to the card base. And that gives it kind of this little 3D effect because it's loose. But it's glued, the bottom of it is glued to the card base, so it's not going to move. All right, now once you have that, you can put this guy, and see if you put him with his arm right there, you know, you can hide that spot. And if it doesn't bother you, then don't do that and put him over here. But he kind of needs to be right there, so it works out. All right, so then we're going to get some Stampin' Dimensionals, and we're putting 2 Stampin' Dimensionals on him. And we're going to put him right here. Okay. We'll put him right there. And then we're going to stamp our sentiment. And you can use any one of a number of the sentiments that are in that pack. On this one I used, you've got, you know, it says you're strong and brave, you've got this. All right. And I kind of like that. So I think I'm going to stamp that again. And I stamped it in Early Espresso. So I inked it up. And this little piece right here is about 3/4 of an inch. And then it's just, it was a scrap. And so I'm just going to stamp it onto this paper, and then I will cut it down. So it doesn't matter where on the paper you stamp it. All right. And then let's go ahead and close this. We're going to cut it at an angle and turn it and cut it at an angle. And then I'm going to get my dauber and I'm going to brush the edge just like that. Just like that. And on this end, I'm going to put just a dab of glue, and I'm going to put a Stampin' Dimensional on the other side. Because this end will stick to him, and the other edge will pop up. Okay. And so we'll put that just about right here. What do you think? Yeah? That's about right, huh? Look how cute that is. Now, I'm not going to put glitter on this one, believe it or not. Although I think some glitter in the, maybe I will glitter it. I didn't glitter this one, but I might put some, I think some glitter, a little shine. You know, the sun shines onto the water, the ocean, and it sparkles, doesn't it? So we're not going to put a whole lot, but we'll just put a few on here. Just, you know, like the sun is shining onto the ocean. All right. I don't want too much because, you know, it's kind of a, Vikings didn't have a lot of, they weren't very sparkly kind of people, right? I mean, maybe they were. I don't know. I wasn't alive then. But but the ocean tends to sparkle when the sun hits it. So I think we could put just a little bit on there. I like that. Just a little bit. Give it a little something, something, right? All right. So let me just get rid of this so I can put this card down so it doesn't sparkle all over the place. And there we have it. We have the two you've got, no, what's it say? You're strong and brave. I'm having a hard time reading today. You're strong and brave. You've got this. And I know just exactly who to send this card to. So I hope that you have enjoyed this. If you know someone who likes this kind of thing, like Vikings, is into Vikings and folklore and things like that, this would be a perfect card for that person. And it's super easy. It was not difficult at all. You might have to hold that for just a second to get that to finish gluing down. There we go. Was not difficult at all. It was super fun to do. And I hope that you've enjoyed it and that you'll go get this out of your craft room and make one. And if you don't have it, then you can go to www.beststamping.stampinup.net and get a look at all the current products. This is one of them. It's in the mini catalog, and it's super fun little stamp set. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. Please come back and see me, and have a great day. Until next time.